Hi, I'm Deb, the Transformational Catalyst Coach. Thank you for joining me today. Today's topic is part 2 of sibling loss. After making the other video on sibling loss, I realized there needed to be a part 2. I want to talk more on how the community, outsiders, and other relatives can help the sibling through sibling loss. I lost my brother back in 1975 in a motorcycle accident. He was just 16 and I was 5 days away from being 15. And I became an only child. I can only speak from my own experience on what it's like to have a sudden death as well as becoming an only child. I don't want to discount those that have lost siblings and still have other siblings because your pain is just as raw and as deep as mine. But I can only speak from my own experience. I want to cover right now what not to say to even the extended family, the mom and the dad and stuff like that, because these are things that are kind of cliche, but really aren't helpful at all. Okay. One is they are in a better place. The way we feel, they're not in a better place. Better place would be with us. So that is not going to help at all. I'm sorry. You did nothing wrong. So there's no need for you to say you're sorry. But I know that it's like a cliche thing to say. And I've caught myself saying it as well. And it's like, there's nothing that you can, I know it's a way of empathizing, but it really doesn't mean, much to us at that time. Um, about a year after my brother died, I got the get over it. I know that wasn't at the funeral, but that was like what people didn't understand was the shock was so intense that it took over a year to just come out of the realization that my brother wasn't coming back home. This was a permanent thing, and my brain was trying to piece it together, and I really didn't have help back then. So, um, whether you get help or not is not the point. The point is that it's I'm going to grieve the rest of my life, especially because I was so young. He was supposed to be there for my graduation, my weddings, my children being born, and I didn't get that privilege of him having any children of his own because he never had any children because he was 16. So, anyways, um, and time heals all wounds. Yeah, to a certain degree, but we don't want to really hear that at that time. It's God's will. We really don't want to hear that either. Okay, right now the pain is raw. It's like you just ripped my heart out, and for somebody to just use all these cliche sayings or whatever, they're just like empty words. Another one is, if you need anything, just call me. um Chances are I'm not going to reach out because I don't know how, and I don't know uh, what to do because I'm barely making one day after another. I'm barely getting through. Um, I know how you feel. I've lost an aunt, or I had my cousin that I haven't seen in 22 years died. It you're feeling lost, but not the same kind of loss. There's no way you could know how I'm feeling. Um, and so those are some things that I could think of right now that really are not helpful. So things that you could do instead would say, I'm calling you and I'm going to check on you. I'm going to make sure that, I make sure that I call you at least once a week. I want to know what's going on with you. Okay? That would be an appropriate response. Um, just letting me know, or letting the surviving sibling know that you're there for them and that you're not going to try to fix them. That's the other thing. Um, you could say, not at the funeral or whatever because you're there, but down, please tell me about your sibling. I want to know more. What do you need to tell me about it? That's what we want to hear. We want to be able to have that permission to talk about our sibling. It's uncomfortable because both parties, the sibling and the person that's trying to comfort you, comfort the sibling, are both in an awkward situation. You don't know what to say. The person doesn't know what to say to the sibling, and the sibling doesn't know what to say. You're both in a very uncomfortable situation. So just kind of roll with it. Until sometimes just a hug. You don't need to say anything other than I'm here for you, and really mean it. Um, it's a hug is perfectly acceptable. It's better than saying I'm sorry or you know this was God's will or whatever. Or they're in a better place. Just a hug with no words is perfect. Bring a tea or a coffee or something to break the ice to the person's house and check on them. You know, you don't need to say anything. You can just sit and drink coffee or tea or a treat, or bring a photo of your that you have to share would be perfectly fine. We want to know that other people have had experiences with our siblings, so I think that would be, quite appropriate. Let me cry, scream, be angry, kick, throw a tantrum, whatever. We're raw. And I'm not going to apologize for my tears because I held them in way too long. And I knew that this was going to be a difficult topic to talk about. And so thank you for hanging in there. Let us cry, sob, whatever. Don't try to fix us. Don't try to fix the sibling. There's nothing you can do to fix this kind of situation. Okay? We're just trying to piece it together. So, know that we're going to be unconsolable. There's nothing you can do to fix it. Just let us be. I didn't want pity. I felt it. I felt like I got different treatment. I got people staring or pointing and whispering behind my backs. I heard it. I saw it all. I felt it. I knew it. And so it was an uncomfortable situation, but I understand now, after years of therapy and stuff, that you guys were just doing the best you could, and in a situation, in the town that my brother and I grew up in was very small, and we knew everybody, just about everybody there, so everybody was just trying to, cope, and, it was a different time back then. We just want to, like I said, feel like we fit in somewhere, or we were made to try to cope with the best way that we could, in an acceptable way, in a way that others, yes, it makes you feel uncomfortable because you don't know how to console us. We're just unconsolable. So the best thing to do is just let it be. Just a hug, or just stand there and say nothing, or say, hey, I can't even imagine your pain, but I'm willing to listen. That would be great. We want to be included. I want to be included, especially because I didn't have any other siblings to turn to. It would be great, a small group of people getting together is maybe 2-3 people that knew your sibling, and you could share stories, or just listen, or just sit and do nothing other than maybe having a cup of coffee. That would be fine. There's no need for you to hide your feelings, how you're feeling, even if it's awkward and you're feeling totally like at a loss for words. Just say, I'm at a loss for words, but I'm here. You want to talk about your brother or your sibling? Go ahead. We're here to listen. Let us just talk it all out. We're going to tell the story like a million times. but we just need to talk it all out, and we need to have that permission. Now, what I want to do is talk to the left behind sibling or siblings, depending on how you're able to cope with this. Um, you need to find 4 or more people that you can talk to on a regular basis about your sibling, okay? Because you're going to need to talk as much as you possibly can. And you're going to be repeating the stories over and over and over and over again. And those that are the recipients, I apologize for that, but it's so necessary, okay? But make sure that you don't hone in on one person because you're going to drive people away from you. You need to spread out your grief a little bit, okay? You need to be able to talk to maybe 4 or more people. The more people, the better, okay? So that you're not wearing any one person down, because otherwise they're going to start avoiding you. Find a creative way once the dust is kind of settled, a couple of months afterwards, or you could do journaling and stuff like that, maybe making collages or whatever. You need to get those feelings out. You need to start figuring out how you're going to live differently, and you need to piece your life back together a little bit at a time. I'm not saying it has to be an overnight thing, but journaling is probably a good bet that you're going to be able to express yourself in a safe way, in a safe place. Holidays are going to be difficult. My brother died 2 weeks before Christmas, 5 days before my birthday, 2 weeks before Christmas. So things had to be different. That first year was a blur. We didn't even decorate or do anything for the holidays because it was just too raw. However, down the road, because I was the only one left, I actually left home quite early, a couple of years after my brother had passed. And I just couldn't celebrate Christmas. It was really hard, and New Year's, and even Thanksgiving was hard. So I made up different dates for these things, okay? Christmas now gets celebrated a week after New Year's. It's not so close to the date and stuff like that. I allow myself now to be depressed for it usually starts sometime mid-November, and then after the day after his anniversary date, I'm like, okay, now it's the holiday time. It's time to put this aside right now. Put it on a shelf for now, okay? You can always go back and revisit this with a therapist, I recommend. Anyways, if someone invites you out for a cup of coffee and it's, whatever, go. Get yourself out of the house, especially if it's the winter months. You want to get out there, okay? Even if it's for a half hour, even if it's for an hour, even if you know that you're going to melt into a pile of goo and you're going to be a wreck, you're going to cry, you're going to probably be very vulnerable, but I recommend going, okay? Do it, even if it's just for a half hour. You need to get out. You can always go back to your grief later, okay? But just give yourself a break. You need it, okay? When there's a special event, honor your sibling that's passed, okay? Make sure that you have some kind of remembrance, or set a place at the table, or whatever it is, a balloon, whatever. Honor that person. Remember, they're still part of your life, regardless if they're physically there or not. I knew a woman that she used to take a framed picture of her sibling, and she used to put it on a table, and all the other family members and stuff at the family gatherings would come over and, hey, did you try this hors d'oeuvre, and leave an hors d'oeuvre or a drink there, and talk to the picture and stuff. And I thought that was kind of cool. I know that I talk with my brother's friends periodically, and we shared a conversation one time, and he called me like a few days, I think, afterwards, and his wife was having problems with her messaging machine, her answering machine, and so she sent to the company, and they wanted some information, and they sent her a brochure, and there was a picture of the answering machine on, and sure enough, on the picture of the answering machine was my brother's full name. Honest to God. Okay. And we both were just like, oh yeah, he was in on he knew we were talking about him the other day. And so he was just letting us know he was there. So you might get some interesting surprises from the other side. So, anyways, um, it's always good to find somebody, especially if you're an only child, that you find some kind of friend of his or somebody that he was close to um, outside of the family that you can share stories, or because every now and then we'll be like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about that, or oh yeah, he, because as time goes on, you're gonna forget what their voice sounded like, some, or little things, and this always kind of brings it back, so it's kind of really cool. um, Find a really good therapist if you can, especially one that deals with sibling loss. If you're just not able to cope and you're having suicidal thoughts or whatever, which is very normal. I went through that myself. Please make sure you find a really good sibling loss therapist, okay? Also, stay away from the alcohol and other recreational uh, drugs and other kind of addictions, because you're very vulnerable and it's very easy to fall into. I'm guilty of it, and got involved in alcohol and smoking cigarettes and eating disorders and all that stuff. And trust me, you don't want to end up in rehab. I did. So um, do not put a time limit on your grieving. You're going to be all over the place, especially for the first year. Your mind is trying to comprehend and put everything in order, because now you're having to live differently. And there's no right or wrong way of grieving. You just have to do what's best for you, but do it. If you're not feeling safe, please get the help that you need. And I want to tell you, it's okay to smile and laugh and enjoy your life. My brother died when I was quite young, and so I had my whole life ahead of me, and I spent the first 15 years before my first breakdown um, doing things kind of by the seat of my pants, and it really didn't work out too well. So with time, you're still going to have tears, as I do, even 45 years later. You're still going to have tears. You're still going to have your grieving moments. However, know that it's okay to laugh. It's okay to enjoy yourself again. It's okay to move on in life. So your sibling would want that. They would not want you sitting around pining away for them the rest of your life. You could do something that honors them. In my case, I'm coaching, and not just to honor him, but I know that I have a lot to offer, and I know that I can help a lot of people. Grief comes in many different forms. Loss comes in many different forms. And you're going to go around and around in the circle of grief, which has several steps. And you're going to revisit some of those steps many times in your life. And it's okay. You have to do it your way and on your terms. If it was a sudden death, you're going to need closure, like I did. And I worked with the therapist, and we were able to set up a scene that had total control, and it was absolutely perfect. It was absolutely needed. So, when the person isn't living anymore, it's kind of hard to get closure. So make sure you do that with a therapist or somebody that you trust, explicitly. So just know that I am available for coaching if you feel that you need a coach. I'm not a therapist, but I do life coaching and health coaching. So if it helps for you to talk to somebody that's been through sibling loss, give me a shout out. I'm going to put my email address in the description box, and I also have uh, um, a private Facebook group. I'd be happy to share the information if you contact me, and I would love to have you in my group. It's also on various different topics. It's not just grief, but you're welcome to come and join it if you feel that would be helpful. I also deal with digestive issues and diabetes and loss and estrangement and a whole host of things, divorce, it's all in there, okay? Uh, Feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to be able to help you in any way that I possibly can. So until we meet again on another video, make sure that you subscribe and you give me a like. And if you feel that this would be helpful to somebody, share this with them. Okay. Until then, I thank you again for holding on for such a long time. This was a long video, but I felt like it was really necessary. And it's okay to be vulnerable. And I want it to be vulnerable and to make sure that you know that, you're going to be dealing with this for a long time, your whole life. Okay. Um, so anyways, I will catch you on the next video. Thank you.